You ever wonder why you only get something like the chickenpox once? Well, it's not just luck. It's because your body has this incredibly intelligent learning army inside of it, an army that never, ever forgets an enemy. This is the story of your adaptive immune system, and trust me, it's happening inside you right this second. So think of it this way. Your body has two completely different lines of defense. You've got your first responders, that's your innate immunity. They're fast, they're on the scene in minutes, but they're kind of generic. Then, for the really serious threats, the body calls in the special forces, the adaptive immune system. Yeah, it's a little slower to get going, but it is surgically precise, and this is the key, it has a memory.
All right, so who exactly are these elite soldiers? Let's get to know the key players that make up this highly specialized fighting force. What you're looking at right here are the core recruits of this army. They're called lymphocytes. These little yellow cells are the absolute foundation of your body's amazing ability to learn from and adapt to any threat it faces. Now, these lymphocytes aren't all the same. They come in two main flavors, B cells and T cells. You can think of them as the two major branches of our special forces, and each one has a very different but totally critical job to do on the battlefield.
Here's the thing though, these elite cells, they don't just show up ready to fight. Nope, they have to go through an incredibly tough and sophisticated training program before they're ready for combat. So how does the body forge these warriors? Well, their training happens in what we call the primary lymphoid organs. The B cells, they do their basic training right in the bone marrow. But the T cells, they get sent off to a very specialized academy called the thymus. Each location creates a totally different kind of soldier. And this is where it gets absolutely wild. Your body prepares for threats it has never even seen before. Through a process called clonal diversity, it proactively creates millions and millions of different B and T cells, and each one has a unique receptor, like a custom-made key for one specific potential enemy. And the sheer scale of this preparation it's just mind-boggling. It's estimated your body makes enough of these specialized lymphocytes to recognize up to 10 quadrillion different invaders. That's a 10 with 15 zeros after it. It's basically prepared for anything you could possibly throw at it. Of course, with an army this powerful, you need a number one, non-negotiable safety rule. Do not attack friendlies. So during training, any lymphocyte that even hints it might attack the body's own healthy cells gets eliminated. This crucial safety check is called clonal deletion, and it's what stops our own bodies from attacking themselves. Okay, so boot camp's over. The army is trained, it's diverse, and it's waiting. So what happens when an enemy actually breaks through the gates? The first job is to sound the alarm and find the exact right soldier for this specific fight. And this is where the scouts come in. They're called antigen-presenting cells, or APCs for short. Their job is to patrol the body's tissues. When they find an invader, they grab it, break it into little pieces, and then they take one of those pieces, the antigen, back to headquarters to show the commanders what they're up against. So a scout's mission goes a little something like this. One of these APCs, a dendritic cell, captures the bad guy out in the field. It then travels to the nearest lymph node, think of it like a military base, and it presents this piece of the enemy to the T cells that are stationed there, officially sounding the alarm. This moment right here, this is the spark that lights the fuse for the entire adaptive immune response. The APC presents that antigen to a very specific type of T cell called a T helper cell, or general. This little handshake, which is called clonal selection, finds and activates the one T cell out of millions that was pre-built to recognize this exact enemy. Now, once that general, the T helper cell, is activated, it doesn't just charge into battle alone. No, it's smarter than that. It orchestrates this brilliant two-pronged attack, calling up two totally different divisions of the immune army at the same time. The first branch is the antibody assault, or what's known as humoral immunity. Now, humoral is just a fancy word for anything related to the body's fluids. This attack is all about taking out enemies, like bacteria and viruses, that are just floating around freely in your blood and lymph. And here's how it works. That general, the T helper cell, finds the specific B cell that's a match for the invader and gives it the order to attack. That B cell then transforms into something called a plasma cell, and a plasma cell is basically a tiny biological weapons factory, just churning out millions and millions of these little protein missiles called antibodies. These antibodies then flood your entire system. They can work in a couple of ways. They can physically block the invaders so they can't infect your cells.
Or they can act like a targeting system, sticking to the invaders and tagging them, which makes it super easy for other, bigger immune cells to find them and eat them up. Okay, that takes care of the enemies floating around outside. But what about the sneakier ones? What about viruses that have already managed to hijack our own cells and are now hiding inside them? Well, that's where the second branch of the attack comes into play.
So this job, our T helper general calls in the assassins. These are the T cytotoxic cells. Their mission is to hunt down and destroy any of our own body's cells that have been compromised, either because they're infected with a virus or because they've turned cancerous. They're the specialists in close quarters, cell-to-cell combat.
So, let's just recap that real quick. It's two fronts in one coordinated war. You've got humoral immunity, using antibodies to clear out enemies from the body's fluids. And you've got cell-mediated immunity, using T cytotoxic cells to eliminate the traitors hiding inside our own cells. It's a truly elegant strategy.
So the battle is won, the invader is cleared out. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, this is where the adaptive immune system reveals its true superpower, the one thing that changes everything, its ability to remember. See, after the fight is over, not all of those activated B and T cells just die off. A small group of them stick around and become memory cells. You can think of them as a highly experienced unit of veterans, just silently patrolling your body for years, sometimes for your entire life, carrying the memory of that one specific enemy. And this is why that memory is so incredibly powerful. The very first time you get sick with something, the response is slow, right? It takes days to build up an army, and in that time you feel awful. But if that same exact bug ever tries to invade again, those memory cells launch a counterattack that is so fast and so overwhelming, the infection gets wiped out before you even feel a sniffle. This, right here, is the entire principle behind how vaccines work. This whole incredible system, this whole elite army, is built on one simple fundamental rule. Know the difference between self and non-self, between you and not you. It's a system of almost unbelievable precision. Which really leads us to one last critical question. What happens when this perfect system of identification and memory gets it wrong?